Hello, I'm Michael, and this is Tarot by the Tree. The first set of videos we made are a set of 10, and those are the instructions explaining how the system works, how the tarot cards were originally designed to teach the Sephra of the Tree of Life and the Tree of Knowledge. We can return to that original meaning and clarify the cards by readopting that system. Lessons 4 and 5 will give you a very quick overview of that system. Lately, we've been working on the individual suits, and we've noticed that the suits refer to high ideals that we can contain. With staffs or wands, we have our ideas, our plans, and our enterprise. It's just the very workings of our mind and our aspirations. In cups, we have our joy and happiness, which invigorates all aspects of our lives. We're going to be moving into the suit of swords soon, which is the suit of personal power, which is an attribute for everybody. And lately, we've been looking at coins, and coins are right up there with ideas and power and joy. Although they may seem cheapened very often in today's media, in tarot, personal wealth is the road to independence, which in turn is the road to being able to develop yourself, not based on the whims of other people who control you because of your lack of means. We'll start today. The card we're looking at today is the King of Coins. Let's look at kings in general. This is a concept that's been lost. A king in ancient times represented perhaps 1 in 1,000 men. This very unusual person, who might just exist for a lifetime, was able to unite the tribes and the chieftains and the clans into a kingdom that made it better for everybody. The king, by uniting people, was also able to protect those people from the scavengers. And we'll see as we go through this that perhaps through history, scavengers or robbers or raiders may have been a class of people. There may have been two kinds of people: those who stayed and grew what they had, and those who roamed and took what they could. A king is not like a politician, a president, or a prime minister, or even modern royalty. A king was a great and unusual person, and no one mocked the king. No one went around parroting the king, making fun of it, and complaining. The king was a great person, and this was recognized. Today we have some differences that prevent the idea of a true king emerging. One is we have different forms of democracy, which have elections, which are in a sense contests of popularity, not indicators of greatness. And perhaps in the old days, a great king, as he neared old age, would be looking around for another great person to take his place. But some point along the line, kings decided to adopt the concept of royal lineage. And that meant that they were in some way related to God. The problem with this is that when the great man who was king finally managed to improve everything, rather than wait for the next person to continue in his legacy, he decided that the lineage of kings and their relationship to God was a part of his blood, and he passed on his greatness to his progeny. And we've all seen the problems with that, ranging from ineffective leaders to actual forms of inbreeding and physical problems. We'll move to the place of the tree that the kings occupy. We have mentioned as a quick overview, the pages are amongst the people in Keter. The knights are the beckoners, the indicators of another world. They are the knights. The queens occupy the place of beauty and love, and the kings participate in the realm of Keter, which is the realm of greatness and all things, and the realm of ideas. We'll do a description of the card. This is a serene-looking king who sits on a stone throne outdoors atop a wall or a parapet. He wears a golden crown adorned with red flowers. His hood is scarlet and his robe is flowing and adorned with vines, leaves, and clusters of grapes. We remember in a previous coin who we called a successful lady like a minor queen, and we'll notice that her investments have also been in the form of growing things, clusters of grapes, symbolic of using your money for something that will give back to you forever. We see the same clusters of grapes and vines all over the King of Coins now. He holds a coin on his lap and a golden scepter in one hand. His throne has four carved bulls, and it makes us think of the emperor, who is the king of kings. And if we look at the two cards, we will see the similarities of the stone throne, of the carved bulls, the crown, and the scepter in his hand. Both sit dead center in the middle on the path of mildness. The sky is golden, and a nearby palace rises in the background on the right, on the side of mercy, suggesting that that place is a friendly place, a cooperative place. He is fully armored. The meaning of this card is a degree of financial wealth allows independent living. And we've talked about that throughout the suit of coins, as saying this is not just a path of ostentatious riches. This is a path to allowing you not to be subservient to many other people. The wealth of the king is expressed and revealed by his use of money, his investments. He doesn't wear his money around his neck, and nowhere in the tarot do you see money saved in great boxes or banks. The money in the suit of coins is a vehicle to something long-lasting. His investments may consist of two types. One, to establish places of constant growth and development. And this is true of all kinds of good investments. You want it to have its own legs to, in time, succeed with a minimum of investment on your part. It should be self-supporting. And the other thing we've seen also in the suit of coins, a means of protecting his investments. It could be walls, guards, or knights, or just the vigilance of always being on guard. Those are the two things that are necessary with the suit of coins, and the suit of coins are necessary for full personal development. In a reading, I would say something like this. There is someone in your life who is a wealthy leader. He may appear indolent, but his attention and influence encourages building, growing, acquiring, and defending. Treat him with respect and follow his example and guidance. He is a true king. And as I said, we've lost a lot of what a true king was and is. And today, rather than people whose reputation is based on deeds, we have people whose reputation is built on kind of a design, kind of a mode that pleases the populace. And in that way, it's a little more artificial. The King of Coins, in a way, is ultimately about affiliation. He has contacts everywhere, and he understands their interactions. He may not be demonstrating much at the time, but like a tree, his roots are tendrils that reach everywhere. This is not a person you want to be an adversary. When you meet a person like this, it's time to put your ego aside. He's been around longer than you, and he started with far more than you have. Your impressions might be inaccurate if you see only his wealth and power. You may have a form of prejudice, or I might have a form of prejudice to dismiss someone like that as having an easy life and not understanding the whole aspect of his life. He is seated in the center on the pillar of mildness. He is between severity and mercy, but he is a master of both. As we said, this card is reminiscent of the Emperor as one of the King of Kings. Okay, I think we'll turn to some of the questions now.
This king looks so inactive. Is he just taking it easy now that he's rich?
That's where I suggest sometimes our own prejudices and maybe minor jealousies might come into play. Why does he get the glory? Why does he get the leisure? And no, he is deceptively active. As we mentioned, he has tendrils everywhere. His demeanor is may fool some people. He is extremely active, but as in the strength card, where true strength is not demonstrative, wealth in its best form is also not demonstrative. It's used for things, but it doesn't necessarily have to define the person.
Why does he hold a golden mace?
This is what I think, and I'm not exactly positive, but this is the way I see it. Part of his wealth, his gold, he has turned into the symbol of office and perhaps a weapon. This is the idea that he doesn't save his wealth. The wealth is changed into something useful and long-lasting. That's what I think. Part of his wealth has increased the power of his office.
Why is the greenery all around him instead of in a garden or a plowed field?
As we saw in the Queen, who was reminiscent of Keter with the greenery all over top of her like a canopy, with the King we have the greenery kind of wild all around him, but also growing in a place at the top of a fortified wall. You wouldn't think that was really good soil there, but the indication is that this king is wealthy, but the wealth is turned into growing living things that will go on forever. As we mentioned, coinage in tarot is not something to be stored away. It is something to be invested in a way that improves the land and the people and goes on forever, perhaps even under its own momentum.
With all his protection, why does he wear armor?
The armor in the kings and in the knights suggests, well, it is it's symbolic that they cannot be harmed. In tarot, these are archetypes, and we look at them in a certain balanced form. Male and female is perfectly balanced. The powers between them are separated and even.
Why is he sitting outside and not in the castle?
Can you just give me the last part of the previous question? I think I just...
With all his protection, why does he wear armor?
Okay, I think I answered that. Kings can't be hurt. This is not like a usurper or a dictator. People do not have the option of removing the king like an elected official. The king is the greatest of people, and people are fortunate to have him during his lifetime.
And so why is he sitting outside and not in the castle?
To me, I think it's because the indication is his influence is everywhere. This is an unnatural place for a throne. It's an unnatural place for great growing things. His castle is in the background, but the idea is this is not an indolent king who reclines on his throne in the castle. This is a king whose presence is felt everywhere through his self, his wealth, or the growing things that his wealth has bought for the kingdom.
You've just addressed Barbara's question. She's asking, in what way would he appear indolent?
Yeah. Hi, Barbara. You see by the picture that Pamela Coleman Smith has really gone out of her way to suggest that when you approach this person, he may look blasé. And that may just trigger some things in us as we are working and struggling financially. When we see somebody like this, we may respond inappropriately. But this is a wise person, a great person, a strong person, and all his wealth is, in a sense, factored back into the kingdom.
What if I'm just not about money and never want to be rich?
And I think this comes... We've tried to address this all through the suit of coins, that in our society today, monetary wealth is sometimes, in a sense, cheapened as not a part of our higher selves. Money is to some people, a necessary evil that they have to do so they will then have the free time. Tarot cards say, right up there with your ideas and your power and your happiness is finances. And finances are a mechanism or a vehicle to give you a degree of freedom that will allow you to develop those other parts. Wealth takes away the strings from the puppet, and you become an autonomous human being.
Now, this is it's two questions, but I'm sure you can combine them into one. So the first part of it, from a channel of mine, is, could we compare and contrast the King of Pentacles to the upcoming King of Swords? And how would they differ in their... It's right there.
Oh, thank you.
How would they differ in their advice on matters of wealth and work?
Wow, okay. This is something I'd rather think about a lot and come back to more. Well, we could take a brief look. We're going to compare and contrast the two kings.
Yeah.
We have the King of Coins. He is serene. His castle is on the side of mercy. He is into growth, growing things. All his money is challenged into the improvement that will last for years and years. The King of Swords also sits on perhaps a stone throne, or perhaps that is sort of a decorated cloth hung behind him. I'm not sure. We'll touch, swords is really going to be what we move into tomorrow, but we're going to touch on swords. Swords is personal power. And both kings are extremely powerful. We've seen the King of Coins even linked up with the Emperor. Very powerful king. When we come to swords, though, we are talking about pure power. And there is a part that we'll be mentioning every day with swords, is that the two-edged nature of the sword means it cuts you a little bit whenever you use it to cut something else. The King of Swords is more about defending and protecting and acquiring than the King of Coins. This is the king you set out first to conquer and claim. And like the queens, the King of Coins can come in later to develop. So that's just off the top of my head, and we'll get into it a little bit more, and I'll try to develop this idea a little bit more. But thank you for the question.
Final thoughts.
Oh, final thoughts. We're leaving the realm of coins or pentacles. I think this is one of the more concrete aspects of the tarot. And as great as it is, it's 25% of the tarot suits. We don't always see money for the independence it gives us. We often see money for the frills that it allows us. And I hope through the discussion of the coins from ace to king, we can see the acquisition of money as necessary as food and water to the development of a person. That's it for today, and we move tomorrow into the final suit, the two-edged suit of coins. Bye for now. See you tomorrow.